Okay, we're going to go through some notes. Some of these topics are things that we talked about yesterday. Some are going to be new topics. You want to grab your environmental science notebook. Feel free to pause me throughout this notes presentation so you can make sure you get all the notes into your notebook, because I will not be pausing and waiting because I don't know how far you are. So, all right, the first topic that we want to make sure we include into our notes is the concept of this ecological footprint. You took this ecological footprint calculator yesterday to measure the amount of resources that you personally consume, the amount of waste that you personally are generating. And then what the calculator does is it compares that to how fast the environment can absorb your waste and produce new resources for you to consume. So all of that information eventually comes out with a value, which is your ecological footprint. The larger the footprint, the worse off you are on the environment. The smaller your footprint, the kinder you are to the environment, because that means you're consuming less resources, you're making less waste. But if you have a big eco footprint, that means you're going through a lot of resources and creating a lot of waste, and the earth can't handle all of that. The next topic that we talked about yesterday was looking at the biocapacity. And this basically represents the different materials needed to support life. Sometimes they're biological, and they're available within that specific ecosystem. So we looked at the biocapacity yesterday of Canada versus the United States. Canada has a much bigger biocapacity compared to the United States. They have a lot more forest, they have a lot more oil, they have a lot more opportunity to grow things because they have larger space. So their biocapacity is larger than the US, and so they have a better biocapacity. Remember those provisioning services that we talked about last unit, which are the different materials that you can get out of an ecosystem in order to support your life. So food, water, materials to build shelter, etc. All of those contribute to the biocapacity. Lastly, we're going to look at the overshoot date. An overshoot date represents how fast you burn through your resources each year. So think of it like a budget, nature's budget. So you want to make your resources here on Earth last you the entire year, but reality is that probably doesn't, especially because of our American way of life. So your overshoot date is the date that you run out of those resources because you've used them all up. So on average, for all citizens of Earth, we are averaging around July 29th. But because we're Americans, I bet that your overshoot date is much earlier because we're consuming a lot more resources faster because of our American lifestyle. I'll show you mine really quick. This is mine. Here's my overshoot date. It's June 13th. So I run out of Earth's resources by June 13th in the calendar year. So I would have no resources available to me after that date. So I'm not as good as the average citizen of Earth. I am a little bit worse. Everyone lived like me, I would need 2.2 Earths to support my lifestyle. And I'd say my lifestyle is pretty good, but let me tell you about why I ended up with this score. If you look at my different contributions, my biggest issue I have is my carbon footprint. And I'll tell you why that is. I commute 40 minutes to get to work each way. So I commute 40 minutes here, 40 minutes home. So that's contributing to my huge carbon footprint because of all the emissions that come out of my car. And I drive an SUV, so that's even worse. And all of that is contributing back to how quickly I'm running out of Earth's resources. If you notice, I don't buy a lot, so I'm really conscious of it. I don't eat a lot of foods that are bad for the environment. My house is normal sized. And so really my biggest issue that I have here is my mobility. So my overshoot date is June 13th. And so you can see that the average citizen of Earth has a better overshoot date than me. So remember, overshoot days that are earlier in the year are bad. It means you're running out of your resources that fast. Overshoot dates later in the year are good. It means that you're able to conserve and not use as many resources as fast. Okay, that's the end of our notes. Bye.